Hello, listeners. Welcome to Yuva Vani. We have with us in the studio Miss V M Deepa, an eminent award winning TV journalist from Kerala. This is the second episode of our conversation. In last episode, we were talking about climate change, environment, and your journey as a TV journalist. So we'll continue with our questions.
Sure.
As you have been to Kaho, what is your impressions about Vibrant Village scheme? Do you think it will benefit the people?
Yeah, I have not studied that project very well, but what I understand is that the Vibrant Village scheme is a project to develop the border villages so that the border communities can benefit from that, and also we can effectively counterbalance the activities that our neighboring country is undertaking on their borders of India. Involving the community is a great way to address such issues. This is what I believe. I saw developmental activities going on in Kahu and Kibitu. I understand that the focus of these activities is on education, health, and sports. That was what people were telling me, which is a good thing. I think there is also a lot of importance given to tourism. The army was very friendly to us when we went there as tourists. However, one keeps wondering whether someday we could have all nations could have peaceful borders where people on either side can live in harmony, can have social and cultural exchanges, and there is no more need to sacrifice our soldiers' lives. That is only a dream. We know there are ground realities, there are global equations at work, and I think I came with a few friends of mine and we were just dreaming about, because for climate change now the whole world has come together. So the entire nations have decided that we will work together to combat climate change, and that is showing some results at least. So the same way, it's an utopia actually, but we were dreaming when we went there as tourists, we were dreaming that if we could make every border a hub of culture and art and social exchange, and at least the UN and the countries, if we can, all of us can come together and create a world where there is no more war. So that is a dream. Yeah, that is it.
Yes, ma'am. It's a dream for all of us.
Yeah.
People from border can feel how it feels to have.
Yeah. How tense sometimes their lives become. It's a pity that humanity cannot solve war, the problem of war. Still, a war is raging in Ukraine, we know.
May this dream flourish and reach the sky, and we shall see this maybe after 50 years or 10 years back. No one knows, but we shall dream.
Yeah, we should put that seed in the soil so that it becomes a big tree someday.
Yes.
Not if not for our generation, for the future generations.
Yes, for future.
Yeah.
So true, ma'am. As I'm also working with Wipro Earth in Sustainability School Education Program, we have been trying our best to promote environmental thoughts among students. I have learned that during Silent Valley movement, a large number of college and school students took part, and renowned writers like Sukata Kumara led the movement. How do you find school students' involvement in environment movement in Kerala now?
Now, I don't think there is that much involvement. But there was a time when we were children. There was one organization. It's a well-known organization, even unique in the world, Kerala Shastra Sahitya Parishad, which was an organization that was promoted by a few individuals who were keen about science and society. And they started organizing children, and in through very playful methods, through songs, they began to teach science, the basic science, and some, because environmental awareness was almost nil then. At that time, they started talking about environment, and they also talking about having a scientific outlook, approach to life. So at that time, even children like me benefited from that. We used to go to these programs. There were beautiful songs being sung about science. Can you imagine songs about science? Because every kid thinks that science is a dry subject. But the motto was that this Shastra Sahitya Parishad had a motto. That was make learning a sweet dessert. Pathanam palpayasamakuga. That was in Malayalam. That make learning a sweet, like a sweet dessert. So that was the motto. So that made a huge difference, and I think the present generation is a product of that work. But then later on, like any other movement, it subsided. And but I think students are the best community to address this issue. For example, I did a program in Asianet News called My River. We selected a few major rivers. Kerala has 44 rivers. So we selected a few major rivers, and we selected one school for one river and asked them to send 20 students so that we can take them from the origin of the river to the place where it joins the sea. So that was an amazing work that I also enjoyed and learned very much. So in that journey, I could directly see how these students can get motivated, because there is a river called Nila. We call it Bharatapura also. That river is, the banks of that river is very culturally very rich. Like in small village on the bank of that river, there are 27 art forms. So it was very culturally rich river. It had nourished a great civilization. So we stopped in different places, talked to people, ordinary people, and also authors, scientists, social politicians. All these kids had got the opportunity to interact with all these people, to see the art forms. In between, there were performances of these art forms. So after that experience, after these 10-15 days of travel, we could see the change in those children. How they started respecting nature, how they started understanding how important a river is for a civilization. It is not just about water, it is culture, it is everything. So it is the blood that flows in our veins. So that way, I think students have a great role to play. But with this, there is a lot of noise in our society. Lot of distractions. Even social media to some extent is creating a lot of noise. It's good also for friendship, for social bonding, for conveying our messages. Everybody gets an opportunity to express themselves. There are so many positive things about social media, but it is also creating a lot of noise. So it is our generations, like people like me, who have the responsibility to handhold children or just give them that opening to understand environment and to work for it. So that exchange has to happen. I think it is happening in corners, but it has to be more intense, especially when we face the threat of climate change.
So it means students need hand-holding process and
Yeah.
also a practical experience to feel what is changing, how it is important to understand
Yes.
our environment and what it will be in future.
Yeah, because I became aware because there was Kerala Shastra Sahitya Parishad. I worked with them. I was a child. So the same opportunity has to be there for the younger generation. But I do not see such movements even in Kerala, which is claimed as very literate. This is not happening. So still we can hope, we can, and also we can contribute whatever. We also try to, as journalists, I also try to do my part. So that is how our society progresses.
Yes, with hope only we have come this far.
Yeah.
I think hope will carry forward.
Yes.
So moving forward, do you think such movement is applicable or relevant in Arunachal?
Indeed. Arunachal also, I think students can be the flag bearers of environmental movements. Here, I think you are not completely detached from your nature. You are very much connected to that. That benefit we do not have, our kids do not have. They are almost completely detached from their natural surroundings. We used to joke that if you ask a kid in Trivandrum or Kochi, who lives in Trivandrum or Kochi, and show them a paddy, a stack of paddy, they will not know that rice is coming from that. So that disconnect has not happened here. So it is, Arunachal students will find it easier to understand the values of nature conservation, and also we have become, as the humanity, as our civilization progresses, we have become very anthropocentric. We do not think about other species who inhabit our surroundings. We just think about humans. So, but you are very connected. Your tribal indigenous people are still very much connected to nature. So, and animals. So that is a great opportunity for you. An opportunity we just gave away. That is in front of you. So you can grab that and you can show the world what is there has to be a middle path. We need development. I have been seeing roads being made whenever I traveled in Arunachal. Roads were getting widened. Infrastructure is developing. But there should be, because in Kerala what happened was we developed our infrastructure. Every village has good roads. But then water did not know where to flow. Everywhere we have 44 rivers, I told you. So everywhere water got blocked. So at least we should have thought about some engineering technique by which, even when we are building a road, there should be a path for water. So that is very easy actually. If you have the imagination to think like that, or even now this NREGS scheme is there. This employment guarantee scheme is there for the rural population. But sometimes we see that they are removing all the weeds, all the plants, herbs, shrubs from the roadsides. But in Kerala, there is a great Ayurveda tradition. Ayurveda is a branch of medicine for which we need these herbs, these shrubs. So once you remove all them, where will the medicine come from? So that kind of an integrated approach has to be there. So here you have that, we lost that opportunity, but you have that opportunity in front of you with which you can work.
Yes, we are indeed culturally involved, or religious wise also we worship animism, nature, which we call sun, moon, rivers. I think if we approach in a better way with scientific approach, I think this will indeed progress in future for Arunachal and remain green as lush as today and for future also.
Yeah, with people like you to work on that, I think I am very hopeful.
Yes, and also we have been cutting ourselves rices, harvesting and cultivating. Everything has been done by ourselves, so we know the process of how it has been grown.
Once one theatre person asked me, one great theatre person is there in Karnataka, Prasanna. So he asked me, how do you know the value of water if you have not drawn water from a well by yourself using that rope and that bucket? So now you just turn the pipe and you get water. So how do you know the value of water? I am not being very romantic because the pipe water is also required. But still, we should be aware of our blessings. We should fight hard to protect, especially owned by the community, the common resources.
Yeah, I think Arunachal people should not take granted about these green lush mountains and valleys we have. We shall be grateful.
If you just don't put mind to that, things can disappear very fast. That is our experience. All the paddy fields in my childhood, I used to see these lush green paddy fields. But now it is very difficult to see such vast paddy fields in Kerala. There are many other factors because paddy has become uneconomic for the farmer. All these reasons are there. But we have to address the problem when it begins, not when everything is destroyed.
Yes, it's so true. So moving forward, we were so inspired by Sukata Kumari teacher's poem, Urutai Nadam. 2 years back, our volunteers have translated it into our mother tongue and presented here AIR Teju. Let me sing 2 lines from the poem.
Please do.
In Mishmi Kaman language. I'm not a good singer, but it is our honor to be part of
Don't be so humble. I'm sure you can sing very well.
So, sang turti turyay, sang turti labyay, kinyay glad kang. Sang turti labyay, kinsa kashay kang. sang turti love ye asi awaka.
Wow. Which language is this?
This is the command language.
Command.
So we have a
Mishmi. Okay.
three sub languages.
Who translated it?
It is by
You-
volunteers.
Volunteers
Yes.
of Lohit Library
Lohit Youth
Network.
Library Network.
Great. Thank you for singing that song for me.
Thank you. So moving forward, a thought about climate change. Isn't it a global issue? So what can a single person do in such situations?
That is a question that is in everyone's mind. It's very easy to slip into pessimism when you talk about climate change. There is a term for that too. We call it climate doomism. A few months back, I did a program. I did the production of a program of a discussion on climate change done by young people. So the three participants, three were from college, and three of them said that we do not want to bring children to this world because this world is dying because of climate change. So, because the issue is global, we will feel that it is beyond our intervention. But that is not the case actually. The problem is that we do not try to understand, or we are not made aware of the what is the science of climate change. And there are so many solutions. Not only there is a saying that only corporate companies, if they change their ways, only then there is hope for Earth. That is the general notion, but that is not true. As I said earlier, the United States has started a $1 trillion project just to make farmers, help farmers, give incentives to farmers to grow cover crops in between their major crops. Just like that, in Denmark is presently the top country in combating climate change. In the rating, they are the first. So what they have done is they are using solar energy. We have plenty of sunlight. India can emulate that. And also they are using organic electricity generation. To their entire urban heating is done by biogas only. So there are simple solutions. Even a tree, we can just think about a tree. Let us say it's a very hot day. You are standing in the street, then you move to under a tree. At least 5 degrees, you will feel the temperature getting reduced by 5 degrees. So that is, a tree is such a magic. Every tree is a micro ecosystem. So even by planting trees, many scientists are of the opinion that the focus area should be planting trees or protecting our forests. So there are many ways, and also you can be, as I said, consumerism has entered our lives, and we are using so many things that we do not want. We crowd our houses, the interiors of our houses, with so many consumer items. So maybe we can think about it again and reduce our needs, do such small things, and that will make a huge difference. If everybody does that, it makes a very huge difference. For example, the tropical forests can reduce global temperature by 1 degree Celsius. Because the world is on the brink of a temperature increase of 1.5 degree increase is already there. Now the world is trying to limit it below 2%. So you might have seen on television or read in news, there is one country, it's a South Pacific island country, I don't remember which country, I don't remember. Its president stood in knee-deep water in the ocean and addressed the climate change summit because that island is sinking. So many Caribbean islands, so many islands are facing them. Our Maldives, our neighbor, they are also facing this. So that president of that country, he stood in knee-deep water in the ocean and he addressed the climate change summit. So this is what is happening. So everybody has a responsibility to do their part in this fight against climate change, or we will be doomed. I think such small measures, that is what even big countries as United States are thinking of. Now they are changing their perspective. They are thinking of growing cover crops or organic farming, things like that, or reducing this carbon emission by doing mulching. That these are the practices that even a small farmer knows. There is nothing technical about it. So all these things you can do. I think there is still hope for humanity, and also our young researchers are working. There are so many researchers who are working to find solutions. So we do not need to be very pessimistic. We can be optimistic and be active in this fight.
Yes. So there's a saying in Hindi like "Bun bun se sagar banta hai." Every drop
Yeah,
counts.
yeah.
So that way, I
Very
think we should contribute in any way, in any
Exactly.
form, like basic habits at home,
Yes.
basic segregation practices, or composting activities. One can do it at individual level.
Yes.
So this is the great news.
Even you can decide to grow crops that are more climate friendly, or crops that provides more oxygen. There are so many ways. If you just need to be more imaginative, more creative. That is what young people have to do.
Connection with earth
Yeah.
is what we all
Yes.
need. Rest will fall under
Yes,
on
yes,
its own
yes.
part. So moving forward, what message would you give to the youths of Teju and Arunachal as a whole?
I think I just wish that we all learn to focus more on simple and meaningful things in life. Sometimes we are misled by so many other things. So if everybody learns to focus more on these things, the earth will be a far better place. And again, I want to stress that we should learn to be not to be distracted by this noise that is there from the consumer society, from so many outside, so many influences. And I have no particular message, but I can quote from some great personalities because they have already said all that. Like Gandhi said, the world has enough for everyone's needs, but not enough for our greed. And Roosevelt said, a nation that destroys its soil destroys itself. And also, there is a book, The Life of the Bee. It's written by Morris Maeterlinck. So she said, if the bee disappeared from the face of earth, man would only have 4 years left to live. So this is this. We must realize that everything on earth is intricately interconnected. We are not. We always say man and human and nature, but we are part of nature. We have no existence apart from nature. You break one connection and everything will collapse in a chain reaction. This connection is our strength actually. So we have to find it, understand it and cherish it. I think that is the greatest message that anyone who is concerned about climate change can give to the young people especially.
Yes, I think coexisting with environment and human is what we all needed, right?
Yes.
People tend to show, when we show pictures of nature, then we show only environment
Yes,
there.
yes.
So it's not that.
We forget that we are part of
we are
that.
part of it. So we should, co-living is
Yeah,
important.
to live in harmony,
Harmony,
peace
yes.
with people,
Yes. With
with all their diversity, all the
Diversity.
diverse communities, people around us, and all the animals and nature.
Yes, indeed, ma'am. So, this was the last question.
Yeah.
Ma'am, it was very interesting listening to you. I'm sure our listeners of AR Teju would feel very enriched and inspired by your words. We hope you will visit us again.
Sure, sure. I would very much like to visit Arunachal again, and thank you for having me, giving me this great opportunity to talk in Teju AAR. Thank you so much.
So listeners, that was eminent TV journalist from Kerala, V M Deepa, talking to us on our range of issues. This is Bethem Marai from Lohit Youth Libraries, wishing you hours of happy listening over AR Teju.